he announced in front of his newlywed wife that his partner was someone else. "This is my wife, Lu Ning." As soon as the words were spoken, everyone looked at Lu Xingyan and began to discuss. Upon hearing Shen Lan's words, Lu Xingyan's face turned red. The echoes of ridicule and sarcasm around her fiercely cut through her dignity. But she didn't care at all, just stared at Shen Lan tightly. Lu Xingyan clenched her hands tightly into fists, with bulging veins on her forehead, allowing the pain in her palm to force her to wake up. "She is your wife, what about me? What am I?" Shen Lan's eyes flickered, avoiding her gaze. Solemnly put the ring on Lu Ning and then picked her up horizontally, ready to leave. Lu Xingyan noticed a flash of light in the corner and hurriedly stepped forward to block him, saying, "Do you know how they will talk about us in this situation, leaving me alone and taking her away?" Shen Lan looked at her with a faint expression. "What are they discussing about me?" Lu Xingyan tightly gripped his arm, her trembling tone filled with pleading. "What about me? Does my reputation have nothing to do with you?" Shen Lan furrowed her brows, fiercely breaking free from her restraints, but unexpectedly pulled off the wig on Lu Xingyan's head. The glamorous big star, with his scalp covered in green stubble, is particularly comical at this moment. There was an instant burst of laughter around me. Shen Lan's eyes flickered, her heart skipped a beat, but she still said coldly, "I've said before, my heart only has Ning." After finishing speaking, he quickly left with Lu Ning without looking back. Allowing Lu Xingyan to stand alone in the center of the venue in a disheveled manner, subjected to cold and mocking looks, but only able to cover her face helplessly. Late at night, inside Jiangbin No. 1. Lu Xingyan sits around her legs in front of the French window, staring blankly at the video forwarded to her by the broker on her mobile phone. Entertainment reporters did indeed infiltrate the banquet, and what happened was well known throughout the city. Now everyone says that she is just a petty person who covets her brother-in-law and does whatever it takes. Even many people turned her wig off into emojis frame by frame, mocking her recklessly. Everyone is congratulating Shen Lan and Lu Xingyan on their marriage. But no one has ever cared about her feelings, before and now. At the moment when Shen Lan pushed open the room door and walked in, she was stunned by the deathly silence that was about to overflow from Lu Xingyan. He stepped forward and extinguished her phone, whispering, "I know you blame me for the wedding. Whatever you want, I promise you." "What do you want?" Lu Xingyan couldn't help but sneer. She looked up and stared at Shen Lan. Her eyes were red, her eye sockets were sunken, and her appearance was haggard. "Shen Lan, you always do this, slap me and give me a sweet jujube, and then hurt me recklessly. What are you planning to get from me this time?" Shen Lan looked into Lu Xingyan's eyes and felt a momentary panic in her heart. He hurriedly averted his gaze and said, "That's Ning's only wish, I can't refuse." Lu Xingyan thought that her dry eyes could no longer shed a single tear, but now she listened to Shen Lan's words. My eyes were still moist again, lacking in confidence. "What about me?" Her voice sobbed, a sadness that was about to overflow. "Have you forgotten that I am also a living person? I can also be sad and upset." Lu Xingyan looked at Shen Lan with crimson eyes. "You asked me to attend just to let everyone know that Lu Ning is your wife, and I'm just a joke, right?" Shen Lan looked at Lu Xingyan's heartbroken expression and felt a sharp pain in her chest. He narrowed his gaze and forced himself to endure the strangeness. It's bustling and noisy outside on New Year's Eve. The VIP ward was silent. Only Lu Xingyan held her parents' hands and begged desperately. "Dad! Mom! Please don't do this to me." Upon seeing this, Lu's mother vigorously shook her hand and spoke in a cold tone. "Lu Xingyan, if it weren't for you snatching the nutrients of lemon in the womb and causing her to develop leukemia, how could she have been bedridden at such a young age? Are you just asking for some hair now?" Upon hearing the strange blame in Lu's mother's words, Lu Xingyan's strength instantly dissipated. She fell back to the ground in embarrassment, her eyes filled with despair after being hit. Yu Guang suddenly burst into a man, and that was her husband, Shen Lan. But at this moment, he tightly embraced another woman in his arms. He only lowered his eyes to look at the woman, and Lu Ro, with a face full of comfort, fiercely stabbed Lu Xingyan's eyes. "Shen Lan!" Lu Xingyan looked at him, her mouth wide open with bitterness. Shen Lan glanced sideways at her upon hearing the sound, and a cold chill erupted in her eyes. After a moment, he spoke coldly. "Mom is right, Ning is already suffering enough from chemotherapy, and you have to stimulate her to walk around with her long hair on her head every day. Do you think we can't see your thoughts? You have enjoyed the happiness for Ning for a long time, and it's time for you to come back. Consider it the price of your wrongdoing." Lu Xingyan was stunned, heartbroken as if she had been Ling Qi. She shook her head in disbelief and said hoarsely, "Shen Lan, how could you think of me like that? I am your wife." Shen Lan withdrew her gaze, her tone calm and unable to hear any fluctuations. "If it weren't for your deliberate design to make me mistake someone back then, how could I have married you? And how could I have allowed you to occupy the position of Ning beside me?" Lu Xingyan stood still, her mind momentarily blank. "I can only stare in astonishment at the people around me. The indifference of loved ones, the betrayal of loved ones. All of it twisted her heart like a knife, and the pain was so intense that she couldn't breathe. Lu Xingyan stared blankly ahead, letting tears slip from the corners of her eyes. At this moment, she felt like her heart was dead. Lu Jialing's faint crying voice rang out at the right moment. Shen Lan lowered her eyes and said coldly to the bodyguard beside her, "No matter what, hold her down and make a quick decision." The burly bodyguard quickly stepped forward and pulled up Lu Xingyan, who struggled desperately. She has just taken on a major production film, and the director demands harsh criticism. Her actor image cannot be any mess at this time. But in the next second, she was hit hard from behind, and her strength dissipated instantly. Fallen to the ground in embarrassment. Before her consciousness completely sank, she seemed to see Shen Lan blocking her hand in front of Lu Jialing, with a tone full of patience and indulgence. When Lu Xingyan woke up again, she saw a pale and lifeless face. There was a dull pain in the back of her head, accompanied by waves of coolness brought by the wind blowing. Looking at the empty ward, Lu Xingyan's nose was sore. At this moment, the door of the ward was suddenly pushed open. Lu Xingyan instinctively looked up and saw Shen Lan's tall figure blocking the doorway, with a calm and distant expression. Ning's condition has suddenly worsened and the situation is urgent. Lu Xingyan pursed her dry lips and looked at the man she had loved for many years before her. Countless despair filled her heart. "What do you want to say?" Shen Lan clenched her hands and spoke in a deep voice. "After a while, Ning needs your bone marrow to save her life." Lu Xingyan's figure suddenly shook. She trembled her lips as she looked at the man, and after a long time, she squeezed out a sentence from her throat. "You've never cared about me in the past 2 months, have you?" Shen Lan was stunned by Lu Xingyan's sudden question. "What?" Lu Xingyan didn't want to cry at first, but tears fell out unconsciously. She looked at Shen Lan and excitedly pointed to her bare head, trembling as she said, "Just because of her envy, I'm going to be forced to knock out and shave my hair. My career that I have been working hard for so long has been completely destroyed. But have you ever asked and cared about me even once?" The hoarse voice of the woman reached Shen Lan's ears, and a faint, imperceptible gleam flashed in his eyes. After a brief silence, he spoke coldly. "But you owe her all of this, Lu Xingyan. Why do you lie better than her?" Listening to Shen Lan's indifferent voice, Lu Xingyan felt a suffocating pain in her heart. "So, for her sake, you're forcing me to give up everything, right?" Shen Lan frowned as she looked at Lu Xingyan with red eyes in front of her. He suppressed his emotions and spoke calmly. "Yes,